Hi, I'm Rachael. Most of you know me as the funding administrator. Today I'm here to talk to you about the Power Desk submission process, and I'm here with Sina to give us some do's and don'ts on the submission process.
Hi, I'm Sina Underwriter with 8Twelve, and we'll be discussing the do's and don'ts of the underwriting process for Power Desk.
With the new Power Desk Network triage, we have a new process put in place so that the files are going to the underwriters fully so that they can be submitted so you guys can have faster turnaround times in your file. That being said, we do have some do's and don'ts that will help get your file pushed on faster. Starting with when you're filling out your application, making sure that everything's filled out, assets, liabilities, income, properties.
That's right. 3 years history, employment, living address. If they've started a new job, their full-time salary, if they've been there for less than a year or 2 years, they will still require full 3 years history. Documents. I can't stress enough how many times we get pictures.
Yeah.
Or pictures of a computer screen.
Yeah.
Those are not acceptable. We need the actual PDF that's been downloaded from either the website originally or that has been emailed to them from either their employer or if it's been emailed to them from their accountant. We don't want to see pictures.
Or scanned in.
Yeah. Sometimes we'll make exceptions for a scan from a photo scanner from your phone. As long as it's legible, it looks clear, and it doesn't look like a picture. Right. We don't want to see background images of like a carpet or a couch or your car, right?
Yeah, and your camera roll on the bottom.
Yeah. We don't want to see your clock at the top when your phone taking a screenshot of your phone. Just try to make it look as much as of a PDF as possible.
Yeah, professional.
Yeah. We want to make the underwriter's job at the bank easier so that they don't have to zoom in and stretch everything out just to read a number, right?
Exactly. And then with the submission notes, we need as much detail as possible. I find sometimes when I go into files that I'm vetting for the Power Desk, the notes are very vague, making it a little bit harder for you guys knowing where to place the file, what other things you could ask up front.
Yes.
Is there any key points that you have that they could follow through that make sure they always have rock star notes?
What I tell everyone, and this is from my own experience as a broker, I would ask the borrowers to provide everything that they can. Don't just get what you think you need for bare minimum to get the deal approved, because oftentimes the lender will come back and ask for backup documents or proof of this and proof of that, and how do you know this and how do you know that? The best way and to be efficient is for you to do this all up front. Ask the client to provide you with everything. Last 2 years T1 generals, even if you don't think you'll need it. Last 2 years NOAs, basically last 2 years income documents, T4s, T4As, T5s. Even if you don't think you're going to need it.
Yeah.
Because let's say you send it in as a salary deal, you only need the most recent T4 and a job letter and pay stub. They might say, okay, well, they've only been here for so long. On the application, there's only 3 years history. What have they been doing prior? Is their overtime consistent? Let's say we need more income than what the job letter is stating, but they're consistently getting bonuses or working overtime. We can use that income by using the last 2 years' averages, but we won't know that for sure until we have that up front, right? It just saves you time down the road. Let's say, because listen, there's a process. You have to get the documents from the client. It takes time for the underwriter at 812 to review it. It takes time for the underwriter at the lender side to pick up the deal and them to review the documents. And then it takes time for them to come back and ask us, the underwriter, for outstanding documents. If the originating OMA already knows these questions, they don't have to waste that additional time to go back to the borrower again and waste even more time to find that information out when we could have just got that up front.
Yeah, and that's kind of the whole point of the new Power Desk submission process, is so that the underwriters are working on deals that actually can be submitted and go to the finish line, and they're not kind of wasting their time during the day going through deals, waiting, oh, I have to ask for this NOA, oh, there's no notes, the OMA doesn't answer, the clients are on vacation, and
a lot of the delays are from communication, because there are a lot of, it's like broken telephone.
Back and forth, waiting.
So there's so many people involved that the delay it just gets exasperated, right? Over time with more people involved.
That's why I will send your file back if there's no note. I'm not trying to be difficult, but I can't give it to an underwriter if they don't know what the situation is, what you're looking for, where the client's going, what their credit history, any, you know, maybe they were on maternity leave or they were sick or they got a bonus and that doesn't reflect on a pay stub right away.
Yeah.
So it's just to move the file along quicker and have files that are ready to go actually get the priority to be submitted and not being held back for a day because the underwriter is reviewing 4 or 5 deals that are missing docs. The asset wasn't filled in. There's no note, so they have to call the underwriter or they call the OMA. No one's answering.
A lot of times it's as simple as a credit check. If the client, because I don't always tell the borrowers to, you know, we don't want to pull their credit right away if we don't know, if we don't have their income.
Yeah.
But we can ask the clients to provide their own Equifax. If we can see that there's a collections already on there, if there's a missed mortgage payment on there, you already know that it's not going to go to the A side, right?
Yeah.
A lot of times we'll have an agent send in a deal thinking that, okay, the income is great, the equity is great, but they haven't pulled the credit, or they've pulled the credit, the score is high, but there's a collections on there that didn't realize, or that there's a judgment on there that they didn't know about, or there's maybe even a co-signing for a commercial lease that's on a corporation that they're not aware of because it doesn't show on the balances.
And I noticed too, there's a lot of parents that are co-signing for cars and other things, and they want to pull equity out of their house and they've forgotten, and they
might be exactly a joint co-borrower for their son or spouse or family member's mortgage, and they don't think that it might affect them, and they might not bring that up to the OMA and tell them because they think that it's not my mortgage.
Yeah, the kid's paying the bill, I'm not paying it, everything's good, why does it matter? But at the end of the day, everything
and it could all be mitigated from a simple Equifax check, credit check from the actual borrower sending it in, or we could pull it ourselves. But the actual reading of that credit bureau, a proper reading, because a lot of times an agent will think, oh, their score is 720, they should be qualified for the A side, but it's about the body of the email. It's not, I mean, of the credit report, not the actual score itself that determines where they can get qualified.
Yeah. And then so we did that.
So we have what else do we have? We have income,
property docs. Just making sure you have, like, for your refinancing, current mortgage statement, current property tax bills that are up to date and paid. Making sure there's no CRA outstanding. I think that's another big thing that comes across is outstanding property tax and CRA. That's
a good one for a lot of BFS clients. People think since we're not, a lot of times they think since we're going to maybe, let's say, the B side, and they only ask for the article of incorporation, bank statements, and invoices to confirm that income. A lot of times what gets skipped over is the 2024 or most recent NOA, because we still want to confirm that taxes have been paid. They don't owe taxes because, as we all know, the government takes priority when it comes to owing funds to them. If you owe money to the government, they will put first position lien on your property. So it doesn't matter who's in first position at that point, whether it's a chartered bank or a B lender, they will push them out and take first position. For property taxes, income taxes, anything owed to the government, they get first dibs. So that's why we always want to confirm.
Good information to know. I don't think the average person knows that, especially when they have a mortgage and their business for self and they haven't paid their taxes or haven't done it, whatever the case is. They kind of think, okay, it doesn't matter. My house is safe because it's mine. I make my mortgage payments, but I didn't pay my personal or my business taxes.
Exactly. And we really want to make sure that we get that also, because if they do owe a lot of income taxes, we're going to have to make sure those get paid out.
Yeah, and then there's enough equity,
right? We can
to
include
cover
that into the loan, the refinance, or we can see how to mitigate for that going forward. Now let's see. We have also assets. Assets is a big one. A lot of times nobody provides their assets.
I did notice that vetting it is I'm sending a lot of files back. Please fill in your assets.
It's not a requirement, and that's why a lot of people skip over it, but it really strengthens the application.
Yeah.
So if you're saying, listen, my client is making this much money, and it's a good amount of money, their credit is good, but we show zero assets, I mean,
it's not
necessarily a red flag. Like, a lot of lenders know that this is how the process is, but if you do show it, it just makes it that much more likely that your application will be approved, because they're going to say, okay, well, this is clearly a strong borrower or applicant.
Would there be incidences where you would
have declined?
No, more like you have good income, you have high credit, but you just don't have any assets?
Well, that happens all the time.
Okay.
Happens all the time. It's okay. That's what I'm saying. It's not like your deal will be. It's not a red flag to not show assets, but it is a bonus. So, because I mean, let's face it, we all want our deals to get approved and looked at as soon as possible. So for your in that case, I mean, your application is more likely to be reviewed quicker, or at least it will be more favorable when they do review it, because they'll see, okay, this person can not only service mortgage payments, but they can manage their finances in a way that they can save money and build their assets and diversify their assets, especially if they have different types of assets, RRSPs, TFSAs, stocks.
Yeah, they have a strong portfolio.
Right. It just makes them look better and makes the lender more comfortable with committing to that application or to that borrower.
Okay. So now that they've created their file, they filled out all the information, they put the assets, the incomes, they uploaded all their documents. Now they need to leave notes. I find that a lot of people in the power desk have very vague notes, and I feel like that would make it harder for an underwriter to give a better solution for the client or giving options.
Yeah.
And a little bit of a delay in the file as going back and forth, which is kind of what the process is to mediate that.
Right.
What would you recommend, or high level information that should be non-negotiable when putting in notes?
This is honestly my structure that I go through. It's honestly a template that I use for all my deals. I start off with an introduction, hello to the lender, and then I go straight into the purpose. What is the purpose of this application? That's number one, right? It's either borrowers or purpose, but they usually come right beside each other. So these are the borrowers, and the purpose is to either, pull out equity for the purposes of, like, if you're taking equity out, they're gonna want to know, what is this for? You're not just gonna, they're not just gonna give you a couple
Here's
$100,000
$100,000 in cash, do what you like.
Yeah, good luck,
No.
right? Like, they want an idea. They don't always necessarily want evidence of what you're going to do with it. Like, let's say if we say it's for an investment of a home purchase or whatever, they don't necessarily want documents. They just want an idea of what you're looking to do with it.
Yeah.
If it is for debt payouts, they will want to see what's going to be paid out.
Do you find a lot of lenders, when it's debt payout, they want to pay the lender, or how's that process?
Well, usually it's what's paid on the what's on the credit bureau, right? So if it's on the credit bureau, it's obvious what needs to be paid out. But if we're saying, okay, well, there's personal debts that they also need to pay out, they may need some proof of that. Like, especially if it's a large amount, like if it's like a $50,000 personal loan to a family friend or someone that you have to repay, that's not on the property secured or on the credit bureau. It's just a promissory note. They might want to see that promissory note, for example.
So if they were sending something in Power Desk and they were looking to refi for debt payout, it would be safe to say add as much payout statements, closing statements from which needs to be paid out. So
not necessarily, because your credit bureau will show those payout statements only for the ones that are not showing and that we're requesting funds for. So don't expect to get $100,000 in hand if you're saying I need to pay out someone $100,000, but we don't have proof of who that's being paid to. Okay. In some situations, they may give you the money. Some situations, they may not.
I feel like that would be something that the common person, the client, wouldn't really understand. That they can't just get cash hand to pay how they want to.
Well, times have changed.
Right?
I mean, there was a time where banks would just give you the money.
Yeah.
It was a simple, what are you going to do with it? Here you go. Now they're tightening up, and they really want to make sure that especially if it's an investment, they want to know that it's going to be a safe investment, right? And that you're not just going to go gamble the money away. Okay, so we got
the notes. Then once your file is all filled out and everything looks nice and ready to go, ratios.
Oh, hold on, let's go back to the notes real quick. So we got the purpose is what we start off at. Then we go into the income, right? Just a brief note. What are they doing now? Are they full-time? Are they salary? How long have they been doing it? If it's been less than 3 years, what did they do prior to that? Just a brief explanation. We don't need previous job letter or anything. And then after the income for all the applicants on file and other income, so let's say they're a salary or a BFS, then we'd go into either CPP, OAS, child tax benefits as other income. And then we'd get into the credits, we kind of just give a brief explanation. If there's nothing wrong with the credit, I just kind of put, hey, this is the credit score,
Yeah.
no derogatories. If there is something wrong, you really want to cover, like, hey, there's been some missed payments. This is the reason why. Because you can bet dollars to donuts that the lender is going to come back and say, what happened here? Especially if it's an A side, right?
Yeah.
You want to go to the A side and there's been previous missed payments, they're going to say, what happened here? Especially if there's 2 or 3 in a row. We can mitigate for that. We can, as long as there's an answer for it, right?
Yeah.
If there was, I don't know, a family emergency, a death in the family,
They got
something.
sick, pregnant,
Yeah.
all types of stuff.
As long as it makes sense. Obviously,
Yeah.
we can't
Gotta
say
make sense.
it can't just be financial irresponsibility, because
Yeah.
that's not going to fly.
No.
Right? We can't just say they forgot about it. But if there's a real reason, we can mitigate, and then we can get an exception for those.
So you guys are looking for a story. What the whole file is about,
Yeah,
what
and
the
we don't want
funds
to leave
are.
that at the last second, because
No.
if we put it in the notes, the lender won't be surprised when they go open the credit bureau and say, "Hey, what's this? Why didn't
Exactly.
you say anything about this?"
Yeah.
You know, we could have saved time there and said, "Hey, we already know that there's missed payments. This is what happened. This is the story," and then we can just move on to the next point, which is, okay, what are we asking for? What's the product?
Yeah,
What's
exactly.
the ratios, right? And that's the next points in the note. So after the credit comes down payment and product request and the ratios, and then we just send it off. Hopefully that's enough at that point. But mainly the points we want to touch on is the income, the credit, if there's anything that we need to explain to the lender, if there's any missed payments, derogatories, collections that might have been but have already been paid, things that we can still get exceptions for, and down payment.
Yep.
Down payment is a
The
big
purchase,
one.
yeah.
Down payment is a huge one, because we have a lot of times people are putting gifted down payment. They're not aware that it has to be from immediate family.
Yes.
Family, mother, father, brother, sister, no cousins,
No uncles, no aunts, no grandma.
uncles, yeah, no stepsister, brother, no foster brothers.
Okay.
90 days history.
90 days history.
Anything with large deposits within those 90 days, anything over 10,000, they're going to want to see history of that, or proof, like, where did this large 10,000 come from?
Are you finding that there's a lot of foreign income being used for down payments now?
As gifts, there is.
How does someone go about that? Like,
so it depends on the country. Some countries
Okay.
are under sanctions right now.
Okay.
Some are not. That is up to the agent. They should be aware of which countries are under sanctions.
Yeah.
If they're not aware, you can easily search this up. Government of Canada will show you who's sanctioned, or you can just send an email out to the BDM or to your underwriter and ask us. We can find out for you. And but if you want to send an email directly to the BDM at whichever lender, you can ask them, hey, client is getting funds from so and so country. Are they on your sanction list? And they'll tell you, no problem. You can pick up the phone, call them, email them. They should be able to respond. It's a fairly simple question. Or just, again, send us the question,
Yeah.
send us an email, and we should be able to answer that too.
Okay. Once that the file is all complete by the OMA and they've uploaded everything and they've given great detail in their notes, so you know exactly what they're going to place it through, it's going to come to the Power Desk Network.
Yeah.
I'm going to pre-vet it. I'm going to do a little bit of employment verification. And then we're going to assign it to an underwriter. And the whole goal is that at this point, they'll be able to submit with very little back and forth.
Now, I just want to go back on that real quick on the employment verification.
Yes.
Document-wise, please make sure there is a contact information
Yes.
on the
Yes.
on the job letter. HR, the company owner, somebody that we can call to confirm the employment. There needs to be at least an email, a phone number, and some sort of contact information.
Yeah.
Right? Name for who we're trying to reach out to. Yeah, so we have a lot of times where we just get a job letter, nothing on it.
Yeah,
This is the annual
Bob
income.
and Jill work 40 hours.
show
They
who
make
wrote the letter.
80,000. Thanks. And
Yeah.
it's like,
Who am I calling?
Yeah.
Like, I could have wrote this on Microsoft Word and printed it out myself.
and that's another thing that's kind of on the rise is I feel like the lenders are being really strict and doubling down on fake documents, creative documents,
Yeah.
making sure that, the documents are true
Yes.
and not edited.
Good point. Sometimes we'll have job letters that are old, and an OMA or an agent will think that, hey, it's a real job.
Yeah.
It's just outdated. They'll confirm it if we call. We can just edit the date ourselves, right?
Yeah.
The problem with that is that we have, and not just us, lenders especially have tools to see if documents have been edited now.
Exactly.
So if they're not authentic, if they're not original, if they don't pass the risk assessment on their softwares, it will get flagged, and the deal will not only die, but the client may be blacklisted from that lender. And if this is a lender that you do all your banking with, you might be asked to close all your accounts with that lender.
Yeah, it gets serious.
Right? So it could be, you really want to be careful not to mess around. It's better to just go back to the borrower and say, hey, please provide a new job letter, a newly updated. Yes, sometimes they give you the typical pushback like, hey, I already provided this. Why do you need more? Sometimes they're not understanding, but believe me, it's better to deal with that headache than to deal with the headache of them closing all their bank accounts.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
That's not going to be a fun time.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice on OMAs that are submitting deals to lenders and then getting declined and feeling, I'm going to use the Power Desk. It has a lot more options of lenders. The underwriter can review it. What would you recommend in a process of, should they not be doing that? Should they be going through Power Desk right away?
Good question. I would like to call the Power Desk a last resort.
Okay.
For brokers. They should be able to. The only reason why they should send a deal to us to send in is if they're not registered.
Yeah.
Or
out of province,
not licensed.
Yeah.
Other than that, they should be trying their hardest to get the deal done under themselves.
Okay.
The only exception is if they haven't been trained enough. But again, we're not here for training. We're here to
close deals,
get the access.
Yes.
Right. Again, only if you're not registered or out of province. So essentially, you know that this is supposed to go to that lender, or you know that this is a deal, bare minimum. You're not questioning if this is a deal. We're not here to tell you if your deal can be done. We're here to tell you where it can be done.
Exactly.
Right. It's up to the agent to make sure that there is a deal. And that comes down to either their own training from their team lead or just their own experience, right? Which is his own topic. That's a
and like
separate
tapping
issue.
into the resources. Lots of lenders come in
Right.
here all the time,
Right.
kind of knowing the different products, different things.
Yes, which all comes from experience.
Exactly.
Right?
And just taking the time.
And taking the time, doing the training, getting to know the different lenders and all their guidelines, all their policies, their products, their niche products for each lender. But for Power Desk, I would say don't use us as
like a vetting service. I've been getting some emails from agents, and they're like, "Well, this is the situation, and what can we do?" Right now, thankfully, you've been able to kind of like guide me a little bit in terms of letting them know yes or no.
That's what brokers are for. I mean, each and every broker is supposed to be able to do that creative process and find out, is this a deal? Can I get this done? Right? That's up to each and every one of them. What we're here to do is literally just place the mortgage where they think it can be done, or if they know that the deal is doable, they just don't know where, we can do it then. But they're going to need to get the documents. They're going to need to make sure everything is legitimate, that the ratios are in line or at least close enough, but they don't know.
Credit score.
Yeah. Right? Like we can come in, we can step in in situations where the ratios are slightly over and they just don't know how to, restructure the deal slightly. But we can't just say, hey, we can't hold their hands from start to finish and say, you know what I mean?
And be efficient and quick, which is kind of the 8-12 way as well.
Right. Now, we can do our best. Of course, we will. We will always do our best to help our OMAs, but we can't tell them if it's a deal or not until they have the full package, essentially, which comes back to square one. Get the full deal up front. Get all the documents, all the information.
Send it to the Power Desk. Let me vet it.
Exactly. Don't just send a note At least if you're going to send a note and you don't know what to do with this deal, at least send us all the documents, and then we can try to give you a hand then. But a simple question, how do I know? Right?
Exactly.
I can't really help you there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just some pro tips for when you're submitting to the Power Desk. Team leads. I can't find your file without it. If you don't know your team lead, there's a possibility that you are on your own team. We do have resources. You can always reach out and say, I'm not really sure of who my team lead is, and we can connect you with that. The file number, I need to know if it's a purchase or a refinance.
Right.
And COF. So COF means conditioning of financing, and this allows me to prioritize and let the underwriter know, hey, you know, COF is in a couple of days. I need you to prioritize this over the other file for today and get this one to the finish line. So the more information up front and the more docs up front, we're getting a clear picture. We're getting the bigger picture. And when I'm sending it to them, they're like, I know what is going on and I can send it out.
Yes. Urgency and priority is basically how we decide how to work on what deal, like you just said. So COF purchases always take priority. Refinances, unfortunately, they take a backseat to purchases. But that being said, if you have a refinance and the purpose of this refinance is an equity takeout to purchase another home or to assist your son or daughter to purchase a home, and that purchase has already started, you've already put a deposit, you know what I mean, and this is to help just close that deal, let us know. Yeah. Because if we think it's just a refinance, it's not going to, like I said, it's not an urgent thing for us. But if we know it's tied to a purchase, it'll become a priority for us, right? And we can also kind of tell the lender, hey, this is for a purchase. You know what I mean? Like, because sometimes you'll tell us, hey, it's equity takeout for investment, but you won't tell us it's for a purchase that's already ongoing. It's already started with the COF. So we're just thinking, okay, we're taking our time. Once we get the approval, once you get the money, you can go and do your investment. But how do we know that until you tell us that there's something live, right? Exactly. There's been multiple times where I've had a refinance client was taking equity takeout. Lender was taking their time because they put this deal on the back seat because they have a lot of promos going on, so they're busy. And then the OMAs would come and reach out and say, hey, what's going on? This is urgent. There's a purchase closing, but they're telling me this 2-3 weeks after it's been submitted. Yeah. And unfortunately, it does take 2-3 weeks sometimes for an underwriter, for the banks to review the deal when it's a refinance and there's a lot of stuff going on, like a Scotiabank promo, right, 30-day quick close. So they're too busy to even respond to my refinance that I put a closing for in October. Exactly. Right? And we're in beginning of September. Yeah. So keep that in mind. Please let us know if a refinance equity takeout is for the purposes of a purchase, and if that purchase has already begun. That is huge. That'll save us a lot of urgency. Yeah. That being said, all files are urgent and priority. We don't want to make them feel like your file is not, but there are ones that have to go before others so that everybody files. Unfortunately, lenders do prioritize deals this way, right? Exactly. Like, that's just the reality of it. If somebody has a condition of finance within 2, 3, 4, 5 days, the lender has to get to that before a refinance that's maybe even due the same week. They might have to push this refinance that's due this week till next week in order to meet all the closings of the purchase. Because consider it from the lender's point of view. They already have the refinance. The property is already in the client's name when it's a refinance. They're not at risk of losing this property. Exactly. Which means the lender's not at risk of losing this client. But when it's a purchase and we don't get it approved in time, the lender is at risk of losing one more client that they can lend money on. Because if they don't get the mortgage, then there goes one property that they could have put a mortgage on. Exactly. Right? And that's why they prioritize purchases more than anything. Top 3 do's when submitting your deal to the Power Desk. Documents. Make sure all your documents are uploaded and labeled. The more documents up front, the better. Same with notes. Making sure that as much detail as possible, giving the underwriter options to where to place your deal. Credit consent. It's very important that you at least have your client's credit consent. You don't have to pull the credit, but let's make sure that the underwriter at least have the consent to pull once they get the deal. The top 3 don'ts when submitting an application are: do not submit an application to a lender you are not registered with or that is out of your province. do not send over a file that is not fully completed. Please check all the validations. All information is there. Do not get creative with documents. Please send over whatever you have as is. If not, request new documents.
Hopefully these tips and tricks make your process to submitting to the Power Desk smoother.